So therefore, I think that that's likely not going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean, and I don't even know if you particularly want to check with Godalming here, right? Because let's say you run in Dracula, if he's in England, has hidden in London. You run into Dracula plus two events or two encounters in the first week of the game when he can escape super easily. I don't know if that's necessarily a fight you want to take with a guy who's only got to supply twice. Although Godalming does draw
I
twice the items, so his items are a little bit probably better than
yeah,
an ordinary hunter.
yeah. So theoretically, he could actually be fully armed with three knives, in theory. In which case, or like two knives and a rifle, so
Hmm.
which is of course a very nice armory.
Yeah.
Uh, what have we? Oh, we actually have a heavenly host in the discard. That's
Yes.
interesting.
Discarded by, I believe,
Uh,
Mr. Godalming himself. He's the only one who can have discarded items at this point. So all three of those were discarded by him, which means that presumably he thinks his three items are better than a Heavenly Host. Or he maybe already has one and doesn't want to keep a second one.
very true. I have less respect for the heavenly host than most people do, but so I can definitely see that being the case. Or even I could even see him keeping a rifle, or like rifle or knife plus stake and horse over a heavenly host, so as
Mm-hmm.
to have a, and especially since 5 hit in the game he uh since I played a game with him earlier today and then pointed out gave him a few pointers such as never go around with a conventional weapon, and of course you're not likely to discard a stake this earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Okay, it looks as if he may have.
Oh, he's not happy.
Yeah, he likely has recognized the fact that Seward's not getting any items.
Oh,
Uh, I I guess considering that that was on Seward's turn that he said that.
that,
Hmm.
yep, that's a
Perhaps a
bit of a
technical
mistake to
error.
make.
Yep.
Yeah. Liked Sarajevo for its positioning, but didn't think about the fact that it was a small city versus a big city. So just put him there for the positioning, and is now realizing his supplies aren't getting him items.
I mean, yeah, the fact that they're getting the events, that's not bad, but
It's true.
it's not nothing, which is, and
Mm-hmm.
well, if Dracula ends up being like in like just mid Europe, Central Europe, just dancing around the maze in the center, instead of over in the east, as I would.
Mm-hmm.
After Rome was checked, that would be my next guess.
I think
Uh,
the East would be fairly safe because John Stewart isn't going to have items, so you can probably, and the fact, like you said, that he's going to have to move two spaces to get to a city where he can get items, you probably could start in the East with not too much fear. Um,
yeah,
although I don't know if a newer Dracula would recognize that and maybe just be scared because John Stewart is a scary hunter, right? He's the one who heals twice as fast. He has more items and events than anyone else. The intimidation factor might have gotten to the Dracula. Just didn't want to be near John Stewart at all. But we'll have to see.
Yeah,
very
he's not
true,
very
very true.
scary without anything but a punch.
Yeah, with no items, not very scary. But
Yeah,
yeah,
but more scary than it. But as opposed to if any of the other hunters had been there, he would be. He's the most scary person to be there in that situation.
I think what I'm honestly worried about is Godalming's gonna get too many good items, right? He's gonna get bogged down with like double horses, or because he supplies twice as fast, right? So if he draws like, let's say draws two horses, he probably wants to keep both the horses, but that means that Godalming essentially has a redundant item that's not doing anything, and he's a
Uh,
little bit far away from other hunters to trade with them. So I
yeah,
think,
we got another heavenly
hmm,
host in the trash. While we're on the topic of the items,
yeah, another heavenly host, and that was discarded by that wasn't Godalming, that was Mina. No, hold on. Did somebody night supply? How is there somebody
Hmm.
night supply?
let me see. Well, even no, there aren't enough events in the discard for that to be the case. There aren't enough items in the discard for that to be the
Jeez, because
case.
there was four items in the discard pile, right? And then we go to Godalming, and he is taking his turn right now, and there's another item in the discard pile before he takes his turn. But no
It's
one else
possible.
would have
I
been
mean,
had enough day actions to get more than. Hmm.
I
it's
am here,
possible.
Strider. I'm listening to the two of these guys trying to suss out where I think Dracula is. So, Schreider, let's play the game, the traditional game, and take a blind guess at where Dracula is. Blaze and D guessed Italy, but there was a hired scouts that hit Rome.
Yeah.
That was a little while ago, so I'm not so sure.
Was on the third day.
Yeah, that was actually yesterday. So I mean, it's possible that there's it's a started in Bari hit Naples. It's possible.
I bet he either went east or he's on the old Dracula highway in Central Europe.
Ooh, well, we might find out. Let's see.
Strider says 39.
39. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. 39 is.
He could be anywhere from Kathmandu to Timbuktu.
39 is not.
Not is also possible, I suppose.
Yeah.
Now, Dracula likes to set up at extremity locations if he can, because if you're putting up that rumored vampire token, it's like you're putting down a time bomb, and the further away from the hunters it is, the harder it is for them to get to and deal with it.
Yeah.
With Mina and Cologne, Nantes is less good because she can rail to either Le Havre or Bordeaux and then be there in 2 moves. And also you could theoretically even get 2 hunters there with Van Helsing. He could similarly rail to Bordeaux or Paris and then move by road the next day. So I think I would agree with you said the East Cairo. I'd agree with you.
Swing
I
and a
think East
miss.
is likely.
No, Marseille or Szeged.
Where is somewhere in the East, isn't it?
That's just above Seward, 53.
Yeah.
It means that he's not walking past Seward. Oh, because it's the one. It's not actually connected to him. It's close on the map, but there's no road between those 2 cities.
Yeah. And for those who will watch this or as is New Blood, the rumor tokens when a vampire matures with a rumor token on it, it gives you 3 additional points. Influence points, to be completely clear.
Yeah, so instead of a reckless giving you 3, it'll give you 6, or an aristocratic. No, reckless still gives you. New vampire would give you 6 because 3 plus 3 from the rumor token. Reckless or aristocratic would both give you 7 because they give you 4 plus 3 for the rumor token.
There we go, world champ, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, I'm great at this game. Definitely haven't taken like a month break.
Yeah. And then. Yeah, I mean, mind you, even Wakazik has been experimenting with not misdirecting the first thing so as to be able to do his layer strategy better.
To be clear, you don't always have to misdirect that starting location. It's a strategic decision. There's a little give and take. If you leave it there, they might find your location sooner, but you might have a layer you can use.
Yeah, as for the possibility of Nantes as the starting location, that's actually not that's actually a decent place to put it. I mean, it's off the rail line, so I mean, once it is the next thing, with people where they are, they'll need a renewed vigor to even get there, let alone stop it.
What is a renewed vigor for those of us who don't know all the events by heart?
And renewed vigor, you play it at dawn, and it means that the following day each hunter can take 2 events. Not actions, not events. There are 2 copies of this.
Puts you into overdrive.
It's considered one of the second most powerful hunter or event in the game.
But you don't always get it.
Yep. Although
2 of them in the deck.
Yeah, there are 2 copies in the deck.
All right.
Okay, so that rules out, and now that there's enough that Ireland is ruled out, so England is a no-no.
Yeah, I think England and Ireland are really intimidating for newer players just because playing there is so unconventional, right? You don't get to make you have to go to sea almost immediately.
Okay. I'm glad that Seward is moving towards a big city.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and actually not a bad idea. Checking, doing it aiming. I'm assuming for Vienna or Munich, considering that that's like the gateway to the east, and therefore if someone were to try to sneak past, I mean, if it's he's not the one he wants to find out, but
We're moving along. We're checking a few spots.
yeah, it could actually be Spain too. One of my favorite things to do is just play ring around the normally ring around the Seward, uh, by starting like with Toulouse and Barcelona, then wolf forming over Saragossa to Santander. Which wolf form is a Dracula, a power that uh, can be used every once in a while to move up to 2 spaces for the price of taking 1 damage. While I mention it,
Well, on the plus side, we know Dracula didn't go to Amsterdam.
True.
On the downside, we know that because we have a hunter right there.
yeah, I'm not sure why he's moving. Possibly trading horses. Possibly Goldaming has, like as you said, possibly Goldaming has all the horses, which
I think
for
that's maybe what's happening here. That's my
yeah,
guess.
they're heading towards like a central spot. Maybe they'll meet at Paris, maybe Nantes. Uh,
Perhaps Le Havre. They could both be there in 2 turns. I don't know. Well,
Yeah, there's still, even if this vampire matures, if you get everybody together and start organizing the items and the events and start getting some more events, still get something
Mhm.
kicking.
It
yeah,
looks like
Event deck
Seward's
still
going to
has
Munich.
59 events, unfortunately.
Yeah.
uh, yeah. What's Sir just? Right, it's a knight. Of course he didn't move. Silly.
Going towards Munich though, which I think is a good spot for him to be, so we can finally start
Yeah,
getting items, and he's also kind of
either
centrally
that,
located.
yeah, either that or Vienna. But because I personally would choose Vienna because you don't want to, in the event he is in the east, you don't want to just completely leave it, at least in my
Hmm.
opinion. So I would do Vienna.
Suppose it depends on if he really wants to be closer to everybody else or not, right? Like how stacked is Godalming's hand? If he has like 2 horses, he'll probably just give one to Mina or Van Helsing, depending on if one of them has a horse or one doesn't. Um, Interestingly, if we all take a second and look at the discard pile, you'll notice there's three heavenly hosts there, which means that if Dracula sees it, he has an encounter card that he can lay down called Desecrated Soil, which the encounter cards are things he's putting under his locations, obviously, which can only be dealt with by a hunter carrying heavenly hosts. So if Dracula sees that they're on the discard pile, he might be able to get away with placing some Desecrated Soils and know that they will mature 100%, unless the hunters can cycle through the item deck.
Which would take some very speedy, which that would take some very speedy supplying.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, until he actually finds some information, like say Jonathan Harker, the ally that flips things as they move on to the last location, uh,
Events.
or
Events we
newspaper
need.
reports.
This deck right here, that's the key to everything. You gotta fish for events.
I'm
But
yeah,
hopefully, can we get the right one? Because we need a reveal Dracula event. If the
yeah,
rumored vampire goes through, it's gonna clear the next 3,
next 3,
and then
yeah.
you're not gonna have another chance at newspaper reports until the day after that. So that wouldn't be great.
True, but keep in mind that when a vampire matures, it has to reveal where it was.
That's something at least.
Yeah.
That's true.
So it does give
True.
him something of a clue. So it's not nothing, so to speak.
But where is he Draculaing up the joint? You know, I think
I'm
he's in Baltica.
I
I
think
would
I'm
not be.
inclined to agree with you.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if that's the case.
Yeah, he's.
Find out in 2 days. Notably, he didn't get newspaper, so not misdirecting this first encounter may actually pay off for him. He'll get an extra layer out of it. he'll be able to make a
Yeah.
lair since it didn't get
Uh,
revealed. Or,
on the assumption
or
that Topher knows how layers work and all, and like if he's not too new quote unquote newbie, he to not know how to use them and all.
We shall see.
Because I had to explain that to 5-Hit when I was chatting and playing with him earlier today.
right,
So,
and layers for those of you in the audience who may not know, these encounter or these location cards Dracula has at the top of the board. If they slide off, Dracula has the option to, instead of maturing, normally if an encounter's on it, when it slides off, he can mature it to get a mature effect, which when we start seeing encounter cards, you'll see the mature effects on them. Alternatively, he can not mature the encounter and make it a lair, which means he gets to put an additional encounter card on it, and it will stay on the board, so if a hunter walks into it, they will get triggered, they will get both of the encounters if there's two of them, or if there's only one, if it's empty when it slides off because the hunters have dealt with the encounter, can still trigger to get hunters. So it can be nice to make layers in commonly stepped on spots like Marseille, Munich, things that are centrally located.
yes.
Alternatively, if Dracula goes back to a lair, his location is instantly revealed, but he does get to have all of the encounters plus an additional encounter for moving there, which makes for some interesting gameplay.
Yeah, that's one of the favorite strats of one of the top players of our community, Wakazek. He, my goodness,
The things you can do with
uh,
layers are
yeah.
multivaried. I think the best card to put in layers is usually bats. Especially
Bats.
if you can.
Wolves is also a nice one.
Yeah, you can leave them in a, like Pizza Wizard said, a place like 36, like really commonly traveled areas.
Other good spots are places like Strasbourg, which is so because that's the one with the most connections in the game. So it connects with 6 spots. So let's see what happens. Does he know how to operate the lair?
Let's find out if it's rats now.
I mean, the reason we like putting bats and wolves there is because bats has no mature effect. Wolves
Interesting.
has.
He did not make a lair.
No lair.
Okay.
Now,
Well,
on the
that's
plus
what we both
side
do.
for him, maybe he didn't want to make a lair. Because that's one more place that the hunters could potentially discover. But I know that's extremely edge value. That's extremely niche value. I'm just saying. I'm playing the devil's advocate here. There is some quote-unquote value in not layering it. At least now it's possible. What if it was Munich and John Seward moves on to Munich now, and now he doesn't discover anything.
Yeah,
but
some fringe benefit there.
Yeah.
He's finally gonna make his way to a big city, hopefully today. We'll see.
Or maybe Dracula just likes his hand. I mean, card economy is extremely important, and trying to play for that third fog is extremely important. But sometimes you go with your gut. I like my hand. I'm gonna keep it.
Apparently, he seems to agree with me.
He's going to the Blazing School out here, going to Vienna. Yeah.
Time to get some items.
Yeah.
Yep. Time for him to get some items. Hopefully, we'll see. I think this really scary thing for hunters here is, will there be another rumor token after this one, potentially making them find it or lose the game, right? Like what happened between us, Gyro, in one of our league games, right? I think that's the nightmare scenario, is if the encounter on like space 2 right now is a vampire. Wait, he won't get a rumor token in time though.
Yeah,
okay.
Your first one went through in our game, right? And then I had to just barely hang on to kill the second one.
I didn't know double charter carriage could be used like that. Actually, it showed me something new.
He double charter carriage?
You double charter carriage.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, charter carriage, for those who don't know, is you can spend a railway ticket to move 4 railway spaces. Seeing as even the best ones limit at 3. So therefore, it can be a nice surprise, or it can be used as a very unpleasant surprise for Drac, especially when used with renewed vigor.
Especially on yellow rails, where normally you can only move 2 on a yellow rail at most. moving 4-on-1, you
Yeah.
can go halfway across the board,
Getting
right?
some real value when you're
Yeah,
moving on the yellows.
but in any event, the set of chartered carriage can be used as both move and special, since during renewed vigor, when you're choosing your actions, you cannot make two of the same type. For instance, you cannot you can't supply twice for your renewed vigor. Although why you would want to do that, I don't know.
Typically,
events.
as a rule of thumb, if you use a card to modify your movement, that's the only one you get, and then the other one has to be a regular move. There's sort of some exceptions, but that's like a
Chartered
broad
carriage,
way to think
double
about
Chartered
chartered
it.
carriage is an exception. As
Double
we learned.
chartered carriage
I
is
think
the
Charter Carriage is such a good card. Did you ever notice you can go from 7 to 25 with Chartered Carriage?
Insane.
That's huge. That might be the best Chartered Carriage in the game. Except for the fact that you could get to 36 from there as well. So it's like, why would you want to go to 25? It depends.
I really like the chartered carriage from like 36 into 34, so Marseille to Madrid. I think that can be really good if you're just like kind of leaving your hunters in Marseille to supply, and then Dracula stays in Spain. You can maybe rush into Spain really quickly and like just, especially because you can do a normal move after that with renewed vigor, you can go to Madrid and then go to any space in Spain. Um, I like that.
Yeah,
Or
yeah. Or from
even normal ticket to
37 to 48.
Yeah. That's why we like events so much. They really help hunters get that edge when they need to have it.
Yeah.
Catching Dracula is all about first surprising him. That's, I think, key. Even whether you're surprising him, haha, I have holy bullets, or something like that, or you're surprising him with suddenly we know where you are now, or we have consecrated ground. You have to throw in something to throw a monkey wrench into his plans at an unexpected
Aristocratic
moment.
vampire. So it's gonna
Bologna.
reveal where it was. It was
Yep.
east.
The classic
He was
Bologna
one
spot.
city away from John Seward the whole time.
That's crazy because there's some events that like reveal if Dracula's next to a hunter by like, and I say next to a hunter, like connected to them by a road. So that was risky. If like an evil presence had been drawn, while like let's say an evil presence is drawn day one, I feel like you can say for certain he's
Yeah.
probably in Sofia or Bologna.
So let me see. Since then, I would say that
Day two, I suppose, because they had to move to Bologna.
at a guess he is now in somewhere around Klausenberg. He's not far from the castle. I know that. I mean, the thing is that the nice thing about John Stewart having been down there, it means that he can't have gone up through Sarajevo and such to Munich
True.
to the central.
Yeah,
He hasn't
it's
wolf
unlikely.
formed, so he's only moved one at a time.
I like your theory about like 28. Maybe he's on the Black Sea coast or heading to Sofia now.
Yeah, my guess is that he went after Valona Salonika, and then Sofia. He made the most of his being down there, and then I would guess that accounts for two of the white spots. Then I would guess Bucharest, or no, more likely then I'd say he went to Black Sea coast after Sofia. I think that therefore he went. The first thing that was not wiped will be Constanta, if my guess is accurate.
I mean, I think Dracula has plenty of space here to move. He doesn't necessarily need to go to sea anytime soon because nobody's really near him, right?
Yeah, he's got almost 2 full regions to work with. And it turns out he's in Austro-Hungary
So
off of a big
probably
hypnosis.
likely. 28.
Okay.
Belgrade.
Now, unfortunately, the hunters aren't in position to make great use of that information.
Yeah,
but at least they know which direction they're headed.
Yeah.
They know he isn't hugging a coast, which is nice. Austro-Hungary is the red region, by the way, so it means he's either in Prague, Budapest, Sarajevo, Zagreb, Szeged, Belgrade, or Klausenberg, like Blazin was saying. I think probably Klausenberg is a good guess. He might even be all the way to, what's the name of that town? Oh yeah, he might all the way be to Budapest by now. Maybe. I mean, I don't know if he would want to go there, though. It's a little bit close.
He could be, but I think it's more likely that he, like, kind of did a little roundabout on the castle. I think that with him being there now, let me see. After Valona, the next three got wiped, and then it's possible that there was a hide involved in that. Perhaps he hid and put a fog or something on that vampire. So maybe the hide, Salonica, and Sophia got wiped, and
Well,
then
let's
Bucharest.
not go too far down the rabbit hole. We're not trying to catch Dracula. We're commentating.
True.
I mean, I think, yeah, I think you might be right about going around the castle at some point. But then that would put him in 28 or 6 now.
I think that's precisely what it is. I would say 28. Either that or Sajed after the scout.
But how do you
Search
get the
there.
hunters in position now? That's what you really need to do. Even if
Yes.
you can't kill Dracula, you have to get people in position to apply pressure and threaten him. Otherwise, he can just keep doing the same circle all day long.
Yes, which isn't good, to put it lightly.
If unfortunately, if Dr. Seward had been well prepared, which is of course the trait on his character card, if he'd been a little more prepared, he could be applying pressure to Dracula right now.
Yeah, he could be trying to figure out what was before that because
There's the rumor token.
Okay, so
Game-ending threat right there.
Yeah, makes a thought come to mind if there's a hoax there. I'm guessing that there's gonna be some horsing very soon, which there it is now for those
See
who don't
how
know
good
what
his
it is.
economy is.
Let's find out. Hey,
Well,
that's a good start, kid.
Yep.
Hi-ho silver.
There you go, Strassenberg.
Yeah, logical.
It's gonna take them a while to get into the east, but at least with horses they'll do it relatively fast. And you hope John Stewart is drawing good items, maybe.
And good events, of course.
And good events.
A newspaper report here would actually
be huge. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That would be clutch.
Yeah.
Hey, there it is! Way to call it!
Just almost exactly what I thought would be revealed. Not quite.
So Hypnosis was played.
Hypnosis
was played when he was on the space with the rumor, right?
So see, the Klausenberger Belgrade is what that tells us.
Yeah, he went to 6 or he went to 28, and then now that puts him. He wouldn't have gone to 22 because then he'd be trapped without misdirecting, or he'd wolf. I don't see why he'd do that. He could have gone to 22 and be planning to be tricky with a wolf form, but more naturally, he would go from like 10 to 28, and now he's in 6 or something like that.
My instinct would say that he did 6 first, and that's it because John Sword was retreating from Sarajevo and Zagreb, and therefore
he could even be in 53 or 11. Yeah, you're right.
I mean, yeah.
Mina normal moving is interesting. I wonder if she has white ones for the horses.
Quite possible. I mean, horse conning was one thing that I discussed with Five Hit when we were chatting. So
It's also possible that she just didn't have a very good ticket, so normal moving is the same as moving a 2 white in that situation, so there's no reason to use the ticket if it's a yellow 1, where you can just normal move and get to the same spot.
Yeah, unless in this case, if he did have a 2 white, I would say going down to Marseille might actually be a good call. So
gets him into the east quicker, right? Because he can go from Marseille to either Zagreb or Milan, and then to Munich, and then you can't do the same thing from I believe is that Brussels.
I've had a conversation with Scott Sword about this before. If you're heading to the east and you're in Western Europe, what's the faster route? Do you go over the Alps through like 36, 30, or like, do you go from 25 to 58, that whole route? Or do you go through Germany and take the southern railroad from Berlin to 58, right? Did you know with a white 3, you can actually get all the way from Paris to Berlin, and then if you have a yellow 2 as well, you can get to 58 on the next day. So that's like a really efficient route if you're already in Paris.
It's a decent point, but you can also get there by going south as well. If you're in Paris and if you have a 3, it's also going to have a yellow 2 on it. You can go to 37 with that rail move and then move to Munich and be. Oh, actually no,
That's
I
3
suppose you get
days
to
of
Munich instead of
travel.
Berlin. Yeah, you're right. Oh, it's 3. Mm.
Yeah. So taking
Yeah,
that white, but see, it requires a lot of good preparation. You have to have the right tickets for it. But if you do,
Right.
going from 42 to 58, you can do that in 2 days like that, and that's not a bad little move if you don't have
Just
horses.
southern route's better if you have horses, but if you don't have horses and you're primarily doing rail
Yeah.
movement, I think the top's
And a
better.
big
I
part of
think the
that is you have to take a whole day to go from 36 to 25 as well,
okay.
if you want to go that
So
way.
presumably this is Gul'dan moving to Munich.
The double horse roll both being yellow too suggests that his economy is okay, if not fully set. He's at least, I mean, there's possible it could be bad, and he rolled 2 twice in a row, but
Yeah, it's possible that he's simply getting lucky, but I am
Bye, Schreider.
inclined to believe that.
been ticketing along.
And he's been, yeah, and the thing is that there has been more passing at night lately, so therefore that seems to indicate good horse economy.
That's a good point. No need to fish for tickets if you have the ones you need.
Precisely.
Alright, Dr. Seward. What's gonna be? Oh, he's still supplying.
I think it's
Yeah.
good for him, honestly.
He's gonna get
Yeah.
to it eventually.
Yeah, that's now his third item, which, yeah, he's called the well-prepared one because he has a handling of 4 items, 4 events to all the others 3. So,
Super Doc.
and of course with additional resources you can deal with harder challenges.
Because, I mean, now that he knows the rumor token is either on Belgrade or Klausenberg, he does have time to get there, right? Like, that's not too far. It's only 3 rail movements for John Seward or 2 road movements if it's Klausenberg. So he doesn't need to move today. He can wait, I think, maybe 1 or 2 more days, although he's going to want to get there soon.
Goodness,
Yeah.
you gotta hope that he remembers that hypnosis means he knows where the rumor is. Because
Yes.
10 actually has 3 other connections that he might be considering, but if he remembers the hypnosis, he'll know that he can eliminate Baltica.
Yes, although it is noteworthy that he might want to find what's before Bucharest first, like as in case that's a hoax or something like that. Which hoax, for those who may not know, when it matures, you get to look through the Dracula gets to look at all the Dracula events in the discard and to take one, shuffling all the Dracula events that he doesn't take back into the draw pile, which and Dracula events can be immensely powerful. So
The one good thing about the lack of supplying is that there's only 5 Dracula events in the discard file, so the hoax wouldn't be that. It wouldn't be good, but it wouldn't be like 10, 11, 12 event cards, right? That's, I think, where you're guaranteed to get like one of the game-ending Dracula events. And I think if you're the hunters right here, you need to have your eyes on the prize. That rumor token ends the game. A hoax is bad, but a hoax will not lose you the game, right? A vampire on the
Yeah.
rumor token will. If you have to choose one over the other, you got to prioritize that vampire. If you can do both, that's great. You should do both. But if you have to choose one, stop the game ending
Yeah.
threat first.
Yeah.
Hmm.
A hoax is bad, but you gotta get the vampire first, of course.
As for but once that vampire is dealt with, I'm going to guess that he's actually going back down towards Athens, because after that hypnosis, it'll likely have spooked him a little. And since there's still no wolf form or anything like that, I think it's likely that he's going to backtrack.
It makes sense he would want to move so that he's moving away from everybody and not towards them. Yeah.
Right, because they're all coming overland. If he was, I don't think he can really escape overland. Even with the wolf form, he'd be wolf forming like past Godalming into potentially Van Helsing or Mina. Right, it's not amazing to go overland. He's probably going towards Valona or Salonika or Athens, like Blazin said, or potentially the Black Sea, although I think the Ionian and Adriatic are more efficient. He probably doesn't want to stay at sea for too long.
Well, some Draculas get a little cocky, and they think they have more time to kill than they actually do, and they go, "Oh, I don't want to go straight for Athens yet. I need to hit up
That's
17
true.
and 56, and then by then I'll get to 50, and then soon I'll be in Athens, no problem." And then that's when you jump on them.
That's true. So therefore, and this being in the quote unquote newbies turn, you don't exactly want to call any of these ones really newbies, as well. And while they may be newbies to our community, they are no strangers to the game. They they know how everything works, and while the start was not exactly the best for the hunters, well, it is a steep learning curve. So
Hasn't been an ideal game for hunters, but I don't think they're out of it by any stretch. They haven't really used many of their events. They've only gone 25. They've only drawn 25 out of the 75 deck. But I mean, if you look at the hunters, they all have like 2 to 3 events on them, right? They
yeah,
are equipped
they're
somewhat.
equipped, but they simply have to which is, and that's why there is still definitely hope for five hits. There's still plenty of hope for that for him. I mean, I would not be surprised to. I mean, I don't think we've been seeing all that many dawn prompts. Uh, so I'm not sure if there is even the option for a renewed vigor, but I wouldn't be surprised to see like planned ambushes, escape routes, etc.
Sense of
Cut.
emergency,
See,
something like that.
He does have
yeah,
a forewarned, we know for sure because of Mina, so he won't be
yeah.
stopped by a fog.
Well, that would depend. So long as it's not. So
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
unless
still on Mina. He needs to get it on the right person.
It's true, it's still on
yeah,
Mina.
yeah. Honestly, I'm a bit disappointed that Van Helsing hasn't used some night to trade that off of her yet.
He's been
And
trading around
yes,
quite a bit. I think he was taking stuff off of John Seward, and then he was just traded with I think Godalming this past day or
okay,
night, I
yes,
should say. I
yeah,
don't know
but
why he hasn't taken the forewarned yet, but I suppose we'll get there eventually.
either that or
Come here.
he'll intentionally use
Good
that as
buddy.
his
Good buddy.
well, distraction, so to
Right,
speak.
if Mina has
Although,
like I don't know renewed vigor or something else that he wants to hide.
yeah, I mean, and I mean, for those of you who don't know what foreign does, I mean, its name is kind of self-explanatory, in the sense that, uh, uh, hello. This comment seems to indicate that horse on Goldaming is the only one he has.
What do you think, chat? All the horses gone.
Hey, he says, "Hey chat, I bet Dracula ate all the fast horses."
Because he's only gone, he hasn't even gone through the whole item deck, right? I mean, the item deck has what? How many cards are in it? It's
Yeah.
like 30
Yeah.
something?
You gotta get
Yeah,
Still
rinsing
15
through
left,
those
right? I
decks.
mean, there's a decent chance there's at least one horse in there, if not two.
I believe
No
there's
heavenly hosts
thir-
though.
35, 35 to 40, I think, is how many there is in
Count,
the
right?
base
There's
deck.
11 in the
Dracula
discard pile,
also
2 in the
doesn't
deck.
have to
He
worry
has
about
3.
a super powered up consecrated ground either.
4. Well, that's 3 items. That's 12 plus 11 is 23.
23, 38.
30. That seems like a
Total.
weird number. I think I might have miscounted
Well,
or something. 38 seems weird. Maybe there is 38. But...
No, that's. I mean, really, it's just simply because of the math of how many there are of each item and all.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he has not yet been. Okay, I'm not sure why I didn't horse roll there, but okay.
His economy could potentially not be perfect, and he could be worried about if he only has one horse, right? Because if he only has one horse, the other ones people need to have tickets to rail so they can have efficient movement. So it's possible he doesn't want to risk losing the one horse he has,
Good point.
or go
Good
in too
point.
fast, right? And like run into Dracula if he thinks maybe Dracula's on 49 right now, right?
Yeah,
Because if
maybe he
Godalming
doesn't
ran
want to
into him,
jump
nobody else
over
could
him.
get there. I mean, maybe John Stewart could, depending on what events he has, but
Yeah.
doesn't.
So
If it is, you're hoping right now as hunters, it's not a hoax like Blazin was saying earlier on this thing before Bucharest. Because if it is, it's gonna mature, right? And the hoax would be not great because I think there's 6 Dracula events. Or 5. There's 5. There's 5. Okay.
there's still only 5.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be good.
I mean, a hoax is almost always good, even if there's just one card.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Because it also
it's
shuffles
still
the other ones back
something.
into the deck. Yeah, it's not going to be bad by any means. I just think a hoax with like 10 events is a lot scarier than 5, but it's still
Yeah,
scary.
for sure.
It's still scary. Not what you want to see.
Yeah.
You'd hope to see like a
Hmm.
spy or some other thing with an okay mature effect, but nothing like hoax.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Met King
true.
calling a
What?
hoax for unearthly swiftness to end the game.
Since he put the rumor token there, that obviously leads us to believe that there's no vampire on those 2 spots
Right.
before it, obviously.
Or if there is, maybe he just won't mature them. But yeah, probably not vampires. I think that's a fairly smart assumption to make.
Especially because that card was on the 2nd space when he put the rumor token there, not the 3rd.
I think you'd feel pretty bad if you like got rid of the rumored vampire and then there was another vampire right before it, or right like if the like Bucharest is a vampire, but then he gets rid of the rumored one, but then he matures the Bucharest vampire and still gets like 4 points. It would not be amazing.
True.
Well, we'll see. I do think that Met King pointed, like Captain Gyro pointed out, that Met King pointed out, Unearthly Swiftness is a Dracula event that lets him immediately move again, which would immediately mature this vampire if he got it off. Hoax lets you look in the discard. I don't know if one of you explains. Hoax lets you look in the discard pile of events and take a Dracula event, put it in your hand, put the other ones, shuffle them back into the event deck. When there's like 10, 11, 12 events in there, the chance that
Wow.
Dracula draws a good one is high. Charred Carriage.
Okay,
You
that'll take him. That'll take her to.
and
That'll
tonight
take.
with John Stewart.
Yeah, she can do a psychic scan, which for those of you who don't know the game well enough yet, Mina's special ability is while she starts bitten, which we'll get to that later, or she can if she is in a city with another hunter or with her, she can use her special ability to make Dracula tell her whether he's in that same region.
So, same
Yeah.
Austria-Hungary
Psychic
region, which would
bond
be big
ability.
news if he was actually there.
She sends out like a sonar ping, and if Dracula
Yeah.
is in the same color-coded region as she is, then it pings back positive. Dracula is forced to say yes.
Gotta be
Yes, I
careful
am
though, the
in that
text is
region.
very similar. It is and isn't is the only difference between the two messages, so you can't just click through it. You gotta read what it says. Mistakes have been
Wait,
made.
did it say he was here or he wasn't? I messed up.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that's nothing like
I
using hypnosis when Dracula's at sea. Dracula is in region C.
That actually what it says, Regency.
Yep, I tried it out just for a laugh.
yeah.
We get to see when Dracula goes to sea because his location cards become blue instead of red, and he doesn't place encounters. So if the reason why this is so humorous is because if he's at sea, we already know he's at sea, right? It doesn't tell us anything new.
So it's
Yeah.
not very good use of one of the better event cards.
Yeah, it's hypnosis is one of the primary things you use at once Dracula lands.
Didn't Psychic's game with Mina. Maybe needed to get to make her move better.
Mm-hmm.
Quite possible as he did just use Charlie Carriage. So
what's the plan for Bucharest here?
Maybe
We
they
gotta
let
get
Bucharest
somebody
go.
going.
Maybe they're just
Maybe
banking
that's
on the
part
fact
of the
that they're not going to
plan.
be
Yeah,
scary, and they're just going to focus on the vampire to the exclusion of anything else. Oh,
it's
see?
possible.
Did C movement?
Yep.
Yes. C.
Interesting. The hunters are still
S-
fairly
Saboteur.
centrally located. Well, that
That's
Saboteur
actually-
is no hoax.
Yeah, that's really good. Saboteur is not that
Yeah.
good to mature. You get a roadblock, but the thing is, it only blocks road or rail, so it can't really.
Well,
It's not a complete blockage.
that will slow Gul'daman down a bit. Or
Sure, it looks-
no,
he's
well,
trying
actually
to-
not really.
If we enhance there, it looks like it's on the rail, I think, or is that the road between 11 and 58?
I think that's real.
It looks like it's
I-
rail to me. I zoomed
which-
in on it.
which-
Shows rail.
Yeah, which makes sense when you think about it, just considering how only Gul'daman has even shown a horse yet.
Something you might
So-
not know is that on the actual physical tabletop,
And
the roadblock and rail block tokens are double-sided, so you can flip them over, and it now shows a railroad on the token being blocked instead of a regular road.
so Yeah, he needs to get to Belgrade or Klausenburg, whichever one it is.
He's
He
not
needs
getting
to
to
get.
Belgrade without an event, right? He needs a sense of
He
emergency
could
to get there.
fast
He
horse to Belgrade
he does
with
have horses.
Godalming.
Oh, to Belgrade. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Bucharest. You're right. He could get to Belgrade today with the fast horses. Yeah, yeah. Or Klausenburg.
And he could check for the vampire here. Come on.
Do we?
Oh
Which do
Nope.
we think it is? Klausenburg or
no!
Buc? Oh,
Okay,
Not big money.
so in his place, I would move to Sajed then, because that
let's get him in range of both of the places for next turn.
precisely. I suspect
Didn't go there at all.
I suspect that actually it's Klausenburg that has the runner token, but then he did go to Belgrade after, and then Sophia, and then it's Sophia, and then either Salonika, and then just one of those three ports.
Yeah.
If
The
it's in
fact that he
Klausenburg, he had to go
went
to
to
Belgrade after.
sea before the hunters,
Precisely.
the hunters weren't really fully committed, right? Like, ideally, a best case scenario is Dracula. You want the hunter, you want to leave and go to sea right as you've dragged all the hunters as far east as you can. Then, when you go to sea and you flee, they have to travel more to catch up with you.
Yeah.
So the fact that he already has taken to sea somewhat prematurely, it would almost seem, indicates to me that he was forced to. So he was probably in Athens.
Get to Athens, he would have had to.
In which
would
case,
have had to have been Belgrade. Oh.
I've developed a little expression that has rarely let me down.
It's always Athens.
It's always Athens, Pizza Wizard.
Yes. Us in the top tier of this community, it's always Athens. We know.
It truly is. Sense of emergency from Van Helsing to try to get a little more into position.
Threaten, so if he left from Valona, he can't just land in Italy freely, right? This kind of puts a little bit of pressure on that.
Right. At least he'll have the old man to
yeah,
deal
he's setting up his Coast Guard.
Exactly.
It's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So yeah, Belgrade now seems more likely. So Belgrade, Sofia, Valona, Athens seems likely.
It could have been Klausenburg, Belgrade,
rail block.
Valona.
This rail block is actually doing some work here for Dracula. It's keeping the other hunters from going any further into the east at a time
makes me want to move Mina back west instead, right? Get her positioned as the Coast Guard because she can't go east very effectively this turn.
And if you guys had been playing Dracula, you'd have just put a dumb hoax down, probably lose the game. This guy,
I don't believe in hoaxes.
This guy put down a Saboteur, and now he's really got the hunters over a barrel with it. Look at that rail block.
I don't believe in hoaxes, okay? I think you people are so scared of the hoax that you will check every encounter no matter what, if you can. You will spend resources, you'll do whatever you have to do. And if you're doing that, a Saboteur is just as good as a hoax, because they have the same effect if you search them, okay?
Sure.
I don't believe the hoaxes actually get matured as much as people want them to.
Yeah.
It's the threat. The threat is greater than the execution. Almost.
Okay.
That doesn't tell you very much.
No, unfortunately, that's not a good.
Yeah, unfortunately, if he had gone that tomorrow, that would have told him whether or not he went to the Tyrrhenian Sea. And whether.
Yeah, that would have been really clutch, but nothing you could do about that.
At least potentially so. Yeah.
So now tomorrow he's gonna have Godalming check 28 or 6.
Yeah, if they have another charred carriage, honestly, I would have had Van Helsing, in his position, I would have had Van Helsing trade a sense of emergency up there, so that to one of the two, so that they can check both, and
he hasn't discarded any stakes, so he probably has at least one stake.
Oh yeah, I imagine that Godalming does have one. I hope for the hunter's sake, and that it's not such a simple game for Dracula as this.
I mean, this is do or die, right? If he guesses wrong with Godalming and then he can't get someone else to the other position, I mean, he just loses. Assuming it's a vampire, but it's probably a vampire.
I mean, it could also potentially be a 6-point vampire.
Well, it still win the game, right?
Which would win the game because I'm good at math.
Yeah.
But
the two of us
I see
finalists.
now he
Okay,
has
we're really
7
good. We're
points.
really good at math.
But you know, there could be a vampire lair kicking around. Right?
That is true. I was just thinking of that myself. Vampire Lair is an event that is a one of a kind of event where you discard the hunter in question during the day discards a stake and lowers the influence by 2.
The only
So
way to move the influence down.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's the only
Yeah.
card in the game that can do that, and it 2 points might not sound like a lot, but sometimes it can be the difference between winning the game and losing the game.
Like here, right? Like if he guesses wrong with Godalming and then he vampire lairs with someone else after him, that would save the game for him.
Yeah, he'd still be in it.
I mean, it would be bad, but it wouldn't be. I mean, it would knock off every other. Like, if he somehow matures vampire and he doesn't win because of vampire lair, it would knock off every other encounter, right? And he still
Yeah,
has a
the
whole week
trail
to
would
find
be
him.
clear. The game would reset
Yeah.
again. You're in a dangerous spot when Dracula's
some movement
influence
events,
is
though,
that
so his
high
events backfire.
because he now has
Yeah.
a certain amount of control. Like, if he puts down a reckless vampire and he has 12 points, it's dangerous.
That's bad. It's bad news.
Oh, there's
Oh.
only a rat!
And he
You should-
matured it. If you look at that card, you can see the bottom red portion would be the mature effect. Rats has none, so when it's matured, it does nothing.
Okay. Well, that's good news
Unfortunate.
for that is good news for the hunters.
No, if they
But
can
it
clear up-
wasn't Strider's rumored rats.
Sure, not the rumor token rat, but one less. What is
He
this
was
next
almost
card?
right. If
What
this
is
is
this
the
next card?
second rats.
He
yeah.
chose to land immediately, so that seems to be an
Bologna.
Adriatic Sea passage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bologna
So,
to like Venice, maybe, or
so-
he could have
so-
gone to Bari, maybe. It's possible.
so that makes me believe that the correct answer is Klausenberg. Klausenberg, Belgrade, Sofia, Valona, Sea to Venice.
I think he could have gone back to Sofia. I think he had time. If he wanted to. Right? Because if he went like Belgrade, Sofia, Salonika, Bologna, it's still possible he was in Belgrade. Unlikely. Possible.
You're right though. It's almost certain that he's in 57 or 5, and why would he go to 5?
Unless it was Athens into Salonika to make everyone go
Everybody
west.
think that he wanted to do that, but that'd be
Yeah.
crazy.
Or he went from
Nobody
Salonika to
ever
Athens.
goes from Salonika to Athens by sea. That's crazy.
Okay,
I've always
so
wanted to excellent weather from Salonika to
There-
Athens and catch
there's al-
Dracula.
There's always the question is, does he remember that it's in one of these 2 spots?
He's got to
Does
know
it-
that, right? He's been playing slow, so I assume. I mean, slow. I mean, like he hasn't been rushing everyone.
Right.
So I
They've been in
hope
58 for ages.
he knows that it's Klausenberg or Belgrade.
Yeah. So
Big decision here,
does
guessing
he-
which one.
yeah, as previously stated, my guess is Klausenberg.
I think
28 for
Klausenberg
those
makes sense.
28 for those who are watching and can't mouse over them to see the names.
Yeah, I'd argue
He's
that.
thinking.
Yeah, because if he guesses Klausenberg with Godalming, he could get someone else to 6 or to Belgrade, maybe with like another charred carriage or something.
Yeah, take another charred carriage. Uh,
He has a second charred carriage. He's used one, I think, right? He only one.
on
I
the
think.
on the other hand, if either Stuart or Mina has like recently drawn a horse, he could horse to Klausenberg.
Oh, no.
What the?
Oh no. Okay, maybe he thinks it's not actually a vampire.
He seems
Maybe
to be
he-
gambling.
I
He
mean,
seems to be gambling the whole game
maybe
on
he
that.
maybe he suspects Dracula is in 57 as I do, but he's making a fatal miscalculation if he's going to let the rumor token go.
Like if ECGs or
Unchallenged.
something, but he doesn't have the consecrated ground to make he doesn't have the holy heavenly
Yeah.
host to make consecrated
He
ground.
can't
lethal
he
if he's in
can't force it.
57.
He can't force an error. An error to a consecrated
Oh, that would be
ground error
incredible.
to clear the rumored vamp would be unreal. That would be
To be
so
clear,
cool, but that can't happen.
Consecrated ground is a card that forces Dracula to not be able to move to certain land spaces, and then you get to put 1 token down to stop moving to one place, and then for every heavenly host you reveal from a hunter, you get to at maximum 1 per hunter, you get to do that again. So you can essentially block certain locations in so Dracula can't make a legal move, and if he can't make a legal move, the game rules say he takes 5 damage, and he immediately clears his entire trail, which would clear off the rumor right before it would mature. It would actually be incredible. Unfortunately, we know all 3 heavenly hosts are discarded, so if he's in 57, he can't force him to not be able to move, unfortunately.
Yeah,
What?
And while we're
Did
on the
he
subject
just
of
continue to
CG,
supply with sewer?
I think he supplied for John Suter,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
There is
okay,
a chance
so
of vampire. It's low, but there is a. I mean, we wouldn't have thought Saboteur or Rats was going to be a real thing either. There's a chance it was a bluff to get him to go further west or east. There's a chance. It's not
It's
great,
possible.
but he could also have the vampire lair, right? And that's why he's not doing it. He's assuming this guy's going to mature it, even if I have
You
vampire
have to
lair.
pay Vampire Lair during the
well,
day, and Van Helsing didn't do it, so now Mina
Mina could
has to
do
do
it.
it.
so unless Mina has it, then there's not going to be a vampire there
We'll see.
happening.
Or she could like have an event to get to one of those two spots. Although we'll see.
Well, there's only one left other than the Forewarned.
Will be kind of big brained, honestly, to play the vampire lair here, knowing that he will clear off his entire trail by maturing that vampire.
Yeah,
Knowing that he's gonna
yeah.
mature
I mean,
it,
you're
even
not
if you
wrong.
vampire
That
lair.
would be huge brain, and catch
That-
him in Venice.
That definitely would be a clever move.
The only
Yeah.
issue is it does put you 1 point away from losing if it's a 7-point vampire, which is not amazing. Okay, it's no vampire lair. Okay. Okay,
Okay.
unless I hope he doesn't think he can play vampire lair during the night. I hope that's not an
Yeah.
assumption that
Okay,
Biofit is making.
the 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 waiting prompt seems to say
He's-
that he found it on the newspaper.
He's in some deep 5 hid now.
Or no, he's simply waiting to. What item is he discarding? Oh, Rufus?
Smith.
Okay, well, I suppose if he uses him to search, then we can.
You're gonna lose with friends. Die with company.
Okay, he's using him to search. Good.
Checking
Okay.
bar. Okay, so we landed in Venice, probably. Unless he was doing Salonica Athens nonsense. Or I guess maybe 56 and 17, but like probably not. Probably not that. That would actually be insane.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah, because then you'd be trapped up right against your trail. In fact,
Right.
that's only barely possible.
Like, it's theoretically possible. I really doubt that it happened, but theoretically possible. Let's
Yeah.
see. What are we doing right now?
I don't know if victory is.
Is he waiting?
English.
What's this prompt
theoretically
for? Does he have surprising return? Yeah, he's surprising return.
That's the only thing that happens at dusk, apart from
Mhm.
newspaper.
He's gonna search Venice, but why? Why does he care? Okay, searching Venice, presumably, or maybe he's just gonna.
Okay,
Oh, he's
now
making it an ally.
Okay. I mean, I would have waited until he went back out to sea to do that.
Mhm.
But
Hang
Yeah.
on to surprising return till then. Yeah, that makes sense.
yeah, especially if you were to find a Sister Agatha or a Jonathan Harker.
Make it a real surprise. He gets on a boat, and it's like, aha! Who's the captain of that boat? Rufus Smith.
Dracula gets in a
Yeah.
cab, and Jonathan Harker's the cab driver. Turns around. Where are you going?
Okay, this
Come into this van. I have blood.
Yeah, so if this is a vampire, it's already game over.
Yeah, that'll be
Well,
that.
yeah, if it's a vampire, it's game over. I think he's hoping it's not a vampire, or maybe he didn't realize. There's a world, right? He doesn't remember that hypnosis that it has to be 28 or 6.
That's
He
what
thinks it
I
could be like
speculated
17,
on.
right? And if it's in 17, he can't get it anyway. So that at that point, if he can't get to 17 in time, his only hope is to go back, hope it's not a vampire, right?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. If he forgot about the hypnosis action.
Well, it did happen like a few. I think a
It
turn
happened
apart.
a
So there's
turn
a chance
before the
yeah.
rumor token was actually placed.
So I understand how that could be confusing, especially in the heat of the moment, right? You've already lost 7
Oh,
points.
absolutely.
There's
I
a
had to stop
tendency
and
in this
think
game
about
to
it.
like feel bad about not like about Dracula succeeding as the hunters, like to feel like you're behind. But hunters don't need to win all the time. They just have to win once, and then they win the game, right? Dracula getting 7 points doesn't matter if you kill him.
Yeah, there are plenty of there are games of plenty where the first vampire matures.
And the hunters still win.
Yeah, and the hunters still win. In fact, more often than not, the hunters win it because they didn't get the necessary information to find the vamp. Because while they're not getting information, they'll be getting combat events, movement events. They'll be getting better stuff.
Right. If you don't know where Dracula is, then you've gotten events that do everything else, ideally. And then sometimes you get double long night and double blood transfusion, but we won't
You
talk
feel
about
bad. Yeah, you should.
that. We won't talk about that.
with the number of events that are out, even if he has all 4 of those, and even if he has both good lucks, there's still something good,
Gotta be.
and especially since
Oh, I
he's
don't
actually,
know, Met King. Probably I lost one to you at 12 influence, and I lost one to Wakazik at 12 influence. I don't recall any others specifically, but I think the community claims there's others.
Look, that was really good of you. It brought both their IDS down. Okay, it was really
I gave it
solid.
my all, okay?
You did good.
yeah.
I had like 3 points from reckless vampire ambushes in one of those
I
games.
really wanted you to win those games. I was rooting for you because I was like, if he beats Wakajic, that makes it so much easier. I was like, please, this is all I want.
Fortunately,
Win
you
the game.
saved us all from his tyranny, so thank
Yeah,
you.
actually,
Yeah.
I mean, before I was eliminated from the league, I had a game where I nearly lost at 12 influence due to my opponent having heroic leap on the hunter that had found me, but fortunately I got through Nocturnal Visit, a Dracula event called Nocturnal Visit. I was able to get a bite point to get my last point and win. That was
So what was really cool about tournament was we saw plays like that you don't normally see, but like some random Dracula events, like I think we saw Enrage do something at some point, the Nocturnal Visit that you used. There were examples like that were really really awesome, right? See things you don't see very often.
Yeah.
Right. Is Dracula gonna call out the GG as he moves?
Is this it? I mean,
It could be not a vampire. There's a chance it was a bluff on the assumption that they didn't get there in time.
oh,
No,
there
it's a vampire.
it is.
Okay.
That's game.
This game
It was
Hunters
Belgrade. Apparently.
dallied just a little too much, didn't show quite enough urgency.
Yeah, the biggest mistake obviously was how the Seward started with in a place where he wasn't getting items.
Yeah,
Look,
that
that's
set him
positive.
back
He'll
a
never
while.
make that mistake again. He's
That's
learned his
true.
lesson.
Yeah.
The point of this tournament hopefully is people learn something from it.
Absolutely. We're not here to be
Okay.
too critical.
Yeah.
Even though it might sound like we are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
All these new people, they're so much more creative than me. I have to criticize them now before they actually get the fundamentals and are creative, and then they're just better than me.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They're going to be doing a game 2, which Quincy Morris will be recording, and I'll be joining him for
good. That'll be
commentary.
great.
Yeah, thanks for making the stream, Captain Gyro.
Oh, absolutely,
Cool.
my pleasure. And hey, thank you guys for commentating, and thank you everybody who took the time to watch. I appreciate it. I hope you had fun. Maybe you learned something about the game if you're interested in the game. And you should go out and play it. It's a great game.
It's a great game. Not even that. It's not even that expensive on Steam. I think it's like $15 or something.
It's less. It's only 13.
Ah.
I know this because I bought
appropriate.
I only got yeah. I know this because I bought it as a Christmas present for a friend just recently.
Oh, excellent. Night, Matt King. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, thanks for being here, Matt King.
Well.
Yeah,
like
thanks
we got
everybody.
2 newcomers in the chat
And
as
if
well.
you're
Yeah,
and if you're
we'll
looking for a game of Fury of Dracula, get in the Discord. You can find links on all Scott Sword's channel. It's all over the place. I'll see about putting a link up on this later if I can. But yeah, join the Discord, Nomad Games, Fury of Dracula Discord, and play with us. You can play some of the best people in the world, some of the strongest players. Or, some other players too, some other competent players.
There's a wide range of skill here, and while there is a steep learning curve, there's certainly people ready to play you even when you're very bad, so that you can eventually get better. Because that's how we all started out. Even people like me came in here and lost, right? And so you get around that curve.
Absolutely.
And I'm right with you there. While I've played several, when I first came, close to just under a year ago. When I first came, take for my spring regionals tournament results as an example. I only got 3 out of 10 wins. two of which were against Strider, who was at the time even newer than I was. So I could only I could put up a fight, but I wasn't much back then.
Yeah, and anybody who watches Scott Sword's channel can find plenty of videos of me losing to him again and again. So there's no doubt that it's a long road to victory, but it's fun. It's a really fun game. So thank you everybody for watching. I'm gonna be signing off, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed, everybody.